Welcome back to the Relationship Mentors podcast, you beautiful humans. Today we're going to talk about 5 signs your relationship is worth saving. It's such an interesting subject and you'll never have a 100% clean and cut answer. And every single relationship, like the case is so different. There's real trending things amongst all struggling or all thriving relationships. But when we speak to clients and stuff and message people about their situation, every single one is so unique.
Yeah.
So these signs is like, it's not a definite thing and it changes every single relationship, but these are 5 sure signs that there is something there to save.
Yeah, it's just like these signs are just for you to look at. If your relationship has some of these signs or all of these signs, it's a good chance or a good sign that there's still something in your relationship worth saving. And at the end of the day, it is always 100% your choice. You can leave a relationship simply just because you're not feeling it anymore, or if there is something that
There's a big issue,
yeah, or there really isn't something that's going to change.
I always tell clients, hope can be the best thing and the worst thing in a relationship, because if you hold on to hope and always see your partner in the highest projection and you just fall in love with that instead of who they actually are, that can be really, really toxic. And there was an experiment done where there was a rat swimming around in a bit of water, like in a tub, and they just put the rat in there and then just left it. And then it died after about 2 minutes. And then they put the rat in there in a second experiment and let the rat swim around for 30 seconds, pulled the rat out, dried it, then put it back in. And they repeated this like 5-6 times. And then the rat was able to stay alive for about, it was like a whole day or something, like 24 hours, because it had hope. Because it had hope that it would be saved, it kept swimming around for a whole day, 24 hours. Whereas the rat previously that had no hope gave up after like 2 minutes. And you can really map that across to a relationship. Like so many people are in a toxic relationship, but because their partner does good things sometimes, they hold on to that hope so tightly. And the most common thing I hear from people is when it's good, but when it's bad, it's terrible. Yeah. And it's like, I hear that so often. And because there's little glimmers of good, doesn't mean the relationship's good.
Yeah, and like with that example as well, that's how you see people stay in a relationship for 8 years, they're married, they have kids together, where it's like it could have ended at the 6 months or a year mark and
should have maybe.
Yeah, so, and also within saying that, within this podcast, you're going to see is like, even when you make the decision, if you're wanting to stay, there's always going to still be a part of you that wants
the
other thing.
Yeah.
It's like, because it's never going to be such a clear sign. It's like, okay, I'm 100% out of this relationship and I'm wanting to leave. Otherwise you wouldn't really be listening to this podcast or listening to these signs. Does that make sense? So it's like, if you choose to go, there's always going to be a part of you that mourns the what if we stayed and made it work, or mourn all the happy memories that you guys had together, or even the fantasy of potential happy memories being formed in the relationship. Then if you decide to stay in the relationship, will always mourn the part of you that
left,
wanted to leave, or what would have happened if you did leave. Like, that's not saying that that's going to be with you for the rest of your life, but it's when you make that decision, you are going to mourn the other side of it, because it is such a big decision and it really just comes down to your choice at the end of the day.
Yeah, there's no perfect decision. There's a decision and then you have to make it perfect. You have to decide that is the perfect decision for me right now. I was doing the best at that time, because people leave abusive relationships and they still have love for their ex, the love for the abuser. Does that mean the relationship's good? Does that mean you should get back with that person? No, it just means you miss that person, and that's okay. But it doesn't mean you need to get back with someone. So exactly. Yeah, I'm excited for this episode. Like, this is, so many people would be going through this at the moment where the relationship is falling apart and they don't know whether it's worth saving. It's like, fuck, are we almost there? Do we just keep going that a little bit more and then we make it? Have you seen that meme of the 2 miners? And they're digging for diamonds, and one person digs up just before they reach the diamonds, and the other guy just keeps going. It's a bit like that sometimes, but people can keep digging for ages and there isn't actually any diamonds there.
Exactly. And there's a great movie, and I think it's a book as well, but it's like they say like you're the rule, not the exception. But you can see a lot within relationships or just in life dynamics. a lot of people talk about you being the exceptions of like, oh yeah, this, like my partner did this and this, and all of these would be like red flags, not great things. But they've seen hope in other people's relationship or stories that they're buying into more. So hopefully this podcast gives you a little bit more clarity in what decision you can lean more towards.
And they create that delusion. It's like, no, the relationship is good. And just ignore all the signs.
Because the truth is, it's like there's some relationships that you see at the 6-month mark and you're like, okay, this isn't working. But then both of them grow and evolve, and then now they have a great relationship. And sometimes that isn't always the case as well.
Yeah, and just one more point before we get started is your relationship does go through seasons. Like there's going to be seasons where it's easy. There's going to be seasons where it's hard. And it's like creating that strong team dynamic of being able to go through the highs and lows is what creates a great relationship. So if your relationship doesn't feel the same as it used to, it's not supposed to. Everything in the world is changing. Why any different? So these signs are really... just see if it's worth saving, if it's worth going through the hardships.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's get into the first sign. So the first sign that your relationship is worth saving, or there's potential for your relationship to be saved, is that you both still have respect for each other. So this is such a big one, because you can really see within relationships when the relationship and the other partner has been neglected for a long time. There's a lot of contempt, a lot of resentment that can form within the relationship. And if you aren't respecting the relationship, or you're not respecting your partner, anything moving forward, whatever you're trying to build, isn't going to be a positive thing. Like if you're starting to build on something or to improve something, and it's just starting with resentment and disrespect, it's like whatever you're building is just going to crumble down, or it's going to be a big worse thing. Does that make sense?
Disrespect is such a common one in relationships. Like everyone says like these signs of a failing relationship. Every failing relationship I speak to, disrespect is always present. Like you're disrespecting your partner so much. It's like you don't even have the human level of respect. If you walked around the street and you saw a stranger, you would treat that stranger better than you treat your partner. Like if your partner is your emotional punching bag and you treat her worse than you treat anyone else, or treat him worse than you treat anyone else, like you aren't giving them the base level of human respect. And that's such a big red flag. But if you have genuine care for your partner, that's a real good step. Like if you genuinely want your partner to be the best version of themselves and to prosper in this life, then that is a really good sign that this relationship, there is something there.
Exactly. And like even if you can see that there's some disrespectful behaviors that you've been playing out within the relationship, because like we were saying before, it's like if your relationship has been so neglected for so many months or for such a long time, you could address it like, oh yeah, I do actually have quite disrespectful behaviors. I wouldn't treat a stranger like this. Why am I treating the person I supposedly love like shit? And so then you can even address your own behavior in that time as well.
Yeah, it reveals so many layers. When you go into a relationship, you will feel every emotion. Like you have every expression of the human spectrum inside of you, and your relationship really brings it out. Like Mia's never been so angry with anyone else as she's been with me. She's never been so happy with anyone else as she's been with me. It's like it'll bring out all of it, and there is respect through all of it. There are moments of disrespect and calling ourselves up on it to come back into a place of respect. But whereas if there's disrespect throughout the relationship, that's a real red flag.
Exactly. And also making sure that you're not only looking at your partner when we're saying these, it's looking at your partner, your relationship, and how you're showing up in it as well.
Yeah,
and how you feel about it.
You have a big part to play in this.
Yeah. And like what Charlie just said, it's like I've never been more angry at someone than probably with you.
Yeah.
Or shown my emotions as much as I have with you. And it's like there's some behaviors that I show up in the relationship sometimes, or have in the past, that hasn't been positive or like quite negative. And then you've called me up on it, and I didn't realize my own behavior until you brought it up.
Yeah, and vice versa.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been disrespectful in the relationship, and it's like calling each other out and having that respect that we're going to do better next time.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, excellent. So sign number 2 is that effort is still being made.
It's that baseline of, do you even want this to last? Like outside of the time you spent together, the things that you'll lose, like so many humans make decisions based on how much time, money, and energy they've already invested in something, rather than what they want going forward, which is the sunk cost fallacy. Like humans have this massive loss aversion. They're more worried about what they're going to lose rather than what they're going to live going forward. So it's like stopping and asking yourself, if the past didn't exist right now, if you were to delete your past and this was a brand new relationship from today, would you want to be with this person? Is this actually what you want? Do you even want a relationship right now? A lot of the time, people's answer are no. Like if they didn't have all these memories and all this loss they feel, they wouldn't even want to be in a relationship with this person. So can you look through that lens as well?
Exactly. I love that so much. And also from another point of view on this, like you're both still putting in effort. Sometimes what can happen within a relationship is that one person is putting in all the effort of like, okay, we can see that we can both see that something's not right. It's been like this for months or however long. And then one of them is putting in all this work to improve it and the other one just doesn't give a shit. Pretty much. It's like it's only one person putting in the effort to improve the relationship and the other person is just being and just living their own like other life and just still disregarding the relationship and not doing anything to improve it. So it really does have to be both of you are putting in effort to improve it.
I see so many people that they don't want to be in the relationship, so they don't put effort in. But it's nice having that option there. It's comfortable having that option there. Like I get to have emotional support when I want to. I get to cuddle when I want to. I don't put any effort in because I don't want it. But secretly, I do like the comfort of having that as a last resort. And that is really disrespectful in a relationship because one person would be fighting for it and hoping it'll last and putting all this effort in while the other person doesn't actually give a shit. It's just convenient for them.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. I feel like that's everything on that one.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then sign number 3 is that your relationship could be worth saving is that the issues are fixable. Now, this is so broad.
And it's so specific for every relationship.
Absolutely. And that's why it's like after this podcast, it's so important for you to really reflect on your relationship to even question, is what's happening in our relationship, is this something that is fixable? So, for example, the issue being, if we go back up to our sign number 2, which is effort is still being made. If in the example that we gave, that one person is putting in effort to improve the relationship and the other person isn't putting in any effort, no matter how many times you've had these conversations and they've said that they would do something and it's like, is that a fixable thing? Probably not. Like if that other person isn't putting in any effort, that issue there itself, that's not something that you can physically force someone else to put in effort to want to fix the problem or the issue. So for that example, it'd be like, no, that's not worth fixing, or it's a thing that you physically can't fix. Or something that would come up for me is like, if I was ever cheated on, that's an issue that would never be able to be fixed within the relationship, because to me, it's such a such a massive thing of disrespect that I would never be able to overcome that for the same person. And that's so different for every single person. And it's so unique. I just know my personality that issue wouldn't be able to be resolved within the relationship.
Yeah. And it's so different every single relationship. Yeah. Like if that was to show up in this relationship, the relationship wouldn't continue because it would always be playing a part and it would always be on someone's mind. Whereas you can see other relationships where they were going down this bad path and then it led, all these things built up to the point where the guy cheated or the girl cheated and they used that as the launch pad to fix their relationship. And it's like that showing up as a physical manifestation of the shit that was going on in the relationship was actually the best thing that happened because it snapped them awake and they could actually start working on the issues that caused the infidelity in the first place. So you see some relationships like, wow, that was the biggest turning point. Now we're stronger than ever. Now we're actually connected. Now the woman feels desired. Now the man feels respected. It's like, it can be the greatest turning point for your relationship. So it's so different every single relationship.
Exactly, because it's like moments like that help them realize what they really want out of the help them realize what they truly want, not what lust they were chasing or whatever it was. So that's when you really have to think about whatever the situation is or the issue that's happening in the relationship. Is this something that is fixable? And it's getting to really know yourself and your partner's behaviors and traits to really know, is whatever the issue is it fixable for you guys? Just because you've seen it happen in somebody else's relationship or other stories. Like, do you guys have that same personality? Does that work for you? Does it not work for you?
And another point on this is appreciation is such a big part in a relationship. And sometimes a partner can take the other partner for granted and then go out and cheat on their partner. And they feel so comfortable and content, and they've taken their partner for granted. So they go out and cheat to get an extra thrill. And then all of a sudden their partner wants to leave them now because they've been cheated on. And then they're like, oh, fuck, no, this is actually the relationship I want. I actually do appreciate this so much. But before, it was like taking your partner for granted, using them as a commodity, you know? Like they're never going to leave. But now it's threatened that they are going to leave. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, fuck, no, I actually do want this relationship. So it can be it can be so eye-opening. But also the individual case is like, if there was cheating in your relationship, is that something you could genuinely get over? Could you imagine yourself forgiving your partner? Can you imagine your partner actually improving his ways or her ways and getting better? So yeah, it's really for the individual case, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a question that you definitely need to ask yourself. Excellent. And then we go into sign number 4.
Yeah.
So sign number 4, that your relationship has the potential to still be worth saving, is that you both still have the same or similar core values.
So many relationships just shouldn't exist, you know?
We believe that, yes, yeah.
Like some relationships, they're just like fighting a losing battle and they want completely different things, but they're connected to each other and they don't want to lose that connection, when actually that relationship shouldn't exist right now. It's not serving either party. Like they want different things, they want to move away. Maybe one person wants to go traveling, one other person wants to stay home and start a business. One person wants kids, one person doesn't want kids, and they can't agree on what classes as cheating or not, and they have different signs of respect, and they treat their families differently, and there's all these different things playing out. It's like you are completely different people, and it's like it's okay to be different from your partner, but having the core pillars of values in your relationship is important to build on.
Oh, 100%. And it's like we say, like the value itself doesn't have to be the same, but it's at least respecting and valuing your partner's values. Does that make sense?
That's a big piece.
Because something that we do teach a lot in like one of our trainings, we have a whole module talking about like getting clear on what your values are, and then sharing your values with your partner, and then creating links between their values and your values. They don't have to be the same values, but you have to see how your partner's values gives your values service, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like how does them getting what they want, so their values help you get what you want.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like Mia just said, it's the respect of the other person's value. If it's like, if your partner really values family and then you never show up and go to family functions and stuff like that, it's like that can cause like a disrespect in that case, because you're not valuing what your partner values.
Exactly. And like another example on that is cheating, for example. Some people may see a guy liking other girls' Instagram photos as cheating, and that's disrespectful. Don't do that. But then the guy could think that no, that's not cheating because it doesn't mean anything, blah, blah, blah. Each to their own with that one. However, it's like it's in that situation, the partner needs to respect that classes as cheating for her, and that he shouldn't do that because it's classed as cheating. Things like that. So like if you can't see eye to eye on what cheating is, it's like even if you don't see it as cheating, respect that they see it as cheating, and that's where the line is in the relationship. Yeah,
like everyone has their own delusion going on in their head of like what's right and wrong in the world.
Yeah.
So two people come into a relationship with potentially different versions of what's right and wrong, and then one person can do something that they think is right when it's actually really wrong for the other person. And this is where you discover your boundaries as you go. Like fuck ups create a great relationship sometimes because you figure out what's right and wrong. You learn more about the other person. So it's like everyone has a different line of where cheating is, where disrespect is, where caring for is, where support is. And coming into a relationship, a guy can think like, obviously like following and liking models on Instagram, like that's totally normal. And a woman's like, that's obviously so disrespectful. I was like, whoa, we're on two different planets here. And then seeing it from your partner's point of view and be like, okay, let's come to an understanding and move past it.
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything else on core values? I feel like the core values just goes to show it's like even within healthy relationships, like this is just a good one to look at, is like core values and figuring out that you both align with it, because it's like core values are such a great way to build on top of that. So it's like respect, valuing your core values, and just building a relationship on top of that.
Yeah,
really
I think it all
important.
really comes back to respect. It's like your partner's going to be different from you, but can you respect that?
Yeah, and have appreciation for it.
Yeah.
Excellent. So we're going to move on to last sign, which is sign number 5. And that is that there's still love and affection. So like we said, I think we say it all the time, but like love isn't enough to stay in a relationship. However, when you are in a relationship, you want there to be love. So if you feel like you no longer love your partner, but you're just used to being around each other,
Yeah.
it's just like, but wouldn't you want to be with someone that you do love? Like, love is such a core foundation of a relationship.
And it's the affection, like the genuine care for the other person. Do you care for them to be better for themselves? Or do you have resentment and you wish the worst on them? And you always assume the negative as soon as you come together on a situation. It's like, do you always assume they're guilty? Always assume they're wrong? You always want the worst for them. You secretly want them to lose. Like, do you care for your partner? Or do you just have this love that's tying you together that's actually unhealthy? Because love can be the best thing or the worst thing, right? Love's just an amplifier. Like if you're jealous, love's going to amplify that. If you genuinely care for your partner, love's going to amplify that. So it's really important to see your own delusion in this. It's like, what am I wanting to see? Because your brain will show you evidence for what you want to see. So it's really important to distinguish that and really check in with what you're wanting.
Yeah, I agree with that so much. Especially, it's like going back to what I was saying before. It's like if there isn't any love in the relationship, it's important to remember that if your relationship right now, if you're listening to this, isn't in the best situation or place right now, and you're wanting to get it to a good place or a great place, it's like there does need to be a foundation of love there for you to even want to rebuild or rekindle a great relationship.
Yeah, the desire to. Like if
Yeah.
you're like,
Like
it'd
love
be
creates
nice.
that desire, is what
Yeah.
I was trying to say. Yeah.
If you're like, it'd be nice, like it'd be okay if we got back to where we wanted to, rather than I really want this to work and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. It's like you need to be in the second boat. You need to be willing to do whatever it takes to get this relationship back to where you want it to be. And if you don't want to do that, that's totally fine. That just means you don't really want it to last that much. It's just convenient right now.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I really love like what you were saying there, because it really, when you are journaling or thinking about it, you're incorporating and thinking of all of it all at once. And so I think it just makes it so much more clearer on if you just separate it, if that makes sense. Like what your heart wants, just what your head wants, just what you sexually want, just what your gut's telling you, and separate it, and then look at it.
Yeah, you all sit down, you all have a meeting together. Your brain's over there, your heart's over there, your gut's over there, and your penis or vagina's over there.
I was seeing it with like writing and journaling, because like that was my advice of just like, it is so important. It's something that I see. It's like when really big decisions are being made in your life, you tend to think about it in your head so much, and you're just going around and around and around, and you're thinking and you're jumping back and forth, da 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 da. But it's like when you actually sit and write it down, it genuinely helps so much. And I know this so much. However, I still think in my head for like days or weeks. And then when I finally write it down, it's like, wow, it's actually so much clearer, because it's like
Out of your head.
Yeah, you know, like a ball of cotton. It just, as I'm writing it, it just seems like it's going into a straight line, and I'm making everything so clear.
Unravels.
And yeah, unraveling the messy mind and all your thoughts. So I do highly recommend going and doing like journaling on this and really writing about it. Like, is this relationship something that you are wanting to save or rebuild, or is it actually a decision that you want to make to end it? So just to recap all the 5 signs to see if your relationship has the potential to be worth saving. So number 1 was that there is still mutual respect. Number 2 is effort is still being made. Sign number 3 is that the issues are fixable. And again, that's personalized to you. And then sign number 4 is that you both share shared values.
Amazing.
And then sign number 5 is there's still love and affection there.
Yeah, amazing. And it's never going to be a perfect decision. And leaving a relationship can be the best personal growth ever. It can be a launch pad for your future. I know it was for me, like me leaving a 7-year relationship, it fucking hurt at the start. And there was really times of loneliness and sadness and hurt and grief. But then coming out of that was the best launch pad ever. It was like I created my dream life from that pain. So it's like leaving your relationship can be the best launch pad for the life you actually want. So it's like, yeah, just wanted to put that point across.
Exactly. And I think there's so many different aspects that come out of ending a relationship, but a really big thing that comes to mind right now is that you're actually just giving yourself so much more space to fill in with what you actually desire and what you actually want. Because when you are in a relationship, you are spending so much time together. You are spending also much energetic capacity is being taken up by your partner. And if you're in a healthy relationship, that's great. Like I love that within our relationship. However, when you are single, there's so much extra space and time that you have that you get to fill in that time and that energy with new experiences or new things that you're excited about. Things that actually give you life.
I love that. It's like all life is a manipulation of energy. And you used to have all this energy to spend for your partner, and now your partner isn't there potentially. It's like you still have all this energy, and it's where you decide to put that, which will create the life you want or life you don't want. It's like, are you going to put it towards destructive behaviors like drinking, like porn, like drugs, like sleeping around? Or are you going to put it towards setting goals and going to the gym and hanging out with friends and building up your finances and things like that? So
yeah, giving yourself the chance to meet someone new. Yeah.
Put yourself in the chance to, see those opportunities and take them. So
yeah, I love that.
Amazing. So they were 5 signs that your relationship is worth saving. It's a very messy subject. It can be a very messy subject. So I hope those points really made it a bit easier for you in your decision making. So thank you so much for joining. Hope you took value from that. We create a podcast and we release one every single Monday. So tune in every week and we can't wait to see you next time.
Thank you guys so much.